Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on the 3 biggest mistakes that keep most lawyers from attracting as many clients as they want and how to fix them with Michelle Peters, the business instructor. For those of you who haven't joined our webinars before, my name is Lucy and I'm an assistant consultant with DG Legal. So just a quick bit of housekeeping before we begin. The slides from today's presentation will be sent over tomorrow, and a recording of the webinar will be available for rewatching after today. So if we do run over and you do need to leave, you will be able to watch the rest at another time. We are in webinar mode, so we can't see or hear any of you. So please do use the chat function, so that Michelle can answer your questions. Michelle does encourage you to write your questions down as and when you think of them, and she will address them either during her presentation or at the end. So by way of a brief introduction to our speaker, Michelle is a former practicing solicitor from a Magic Circle firm who now helps the owners of small law firms to have the freedom to work with who they want to work with, the freedom to work the hours they choose, and to have the financial freedom they deserve. Michelle shows the owners of small law firms what they need to do and in what order to get the clients and profits they want, and then helps them to get it done so that they get results fast. She provides a blend of strategic advice, skills training, including marketing and conversion skills, and coaching and mentoring through her profitable practice program. Over to you, Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy, and hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. And particular thanks to DG Legal and Lucy and Alison, all the team, for inviting me to speak today. I'm very pleased to be back running another session for you all. So today's session, helpfully introduced by Lucy, is of course on how we can get more clients, because it's about looking at the mistakes that might be keeping you from getting the clients and what you can do to fix that. And you're in the right place if you either don't have as many inquiries as you want, or you have a good quantity of inquiries, but you don't have the quality you want. In other words, you haven't got the clients you want for the most profitable practice areas that you've got, or they're not the types of clients that you most enjoy working with and can get the best, can help in the best way, get the best results for. So today I want to show you a way of marketing, of promoting yourself to get more of those ideal clients. And it's a way that's been working for other lawyers, both, pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and since the pandemic. Well, can we even say that? But you know what I mean? Since the height of the pandemic, perhaps. A way of marketing that specifically targets your ideal clients, helps them understand the value of your services, gets you more inquiries so that you can turn them into paying clients at the right fees that you want to charge. And what I'll teach today applies to any civil practice area that you might be in, and also white collar crime, motoring offences, and things like that as well. So pretty broad application, as long as you take it and apply it to your specific practice area. And we'll be talking about how to do that during today's session. So for those of you who haven't met me yet, Lucy, thank you for introducing me, but I'll just say a few more words about myself for context. So Lucy explained about what I do now, and in particular, that I'm the creator of the Profitable Practice Program for lawyers who want more clients and to increase profits without working more hours. That's the core of what I do. That's the key part, day job, if you like. But I wasn't always doing this, and I'll explain my background in just a moment. Some of you may have seen my book, The Client Magnet Formula for Lawyers, How to Attract and Convert More of Your Ideal Clients. And I'm going to draw on some of those principles and issues from that book today, but go deeper and look at slightly different aspects, more than we can do in just a book. But if the book is of interest, you can download 4 free chapters of the book from this link that's on your screen now, or just go to my website. You'll find it there, thebusinessinstructor.com. Now, in terms of my background, Lucy already mentioned that I'm a former practicing solicitor. This is what inspired me to do what I do now, because when I was a solicitor and I did intellectual property, mix of contentious and non-contentious work, I discovered only when I left being a lawyer how little I'd learned about practical marketing and business development related skills that are needed to actually be successful in the practice of law. In the business of law, you need to be able to get the clients, and then you can practice your law by helping those clients. And it was discovering how little I'd really learned only because I left and went into business and became a small business owner. That's what inspired me to firstly upgrade my skills and start learning and studying and getting mentoring and coaching. This was back in 2004 now, when I left being a lawyer. So I was inspired to develop my own skills, and then inspired to set up the Business Instructor to help other lawyers to develop those skills without them having to leave in the way that I did to learn these important skills. And the reason I call my business the Business Instructor is I think of what I do as a bit like if you want to get fit or improve your health and you go and hire a fitness trainer or a personal fitness instructor, and they'll ask you, what are your goals? Understand what you want to achieve. Then they'll give you a series of techniques, tools, strategies, moves to do in order to get those results as quickly as possible in the most efficient way based on where you're starting at, what's your current level. And then they'll keep helping you improve those moves and strategies and tools until you can get the results you want faster and faster. So that's very much what I do as the Business Instructor. The last thing I want to say about myself is everything I'm going to say to you in this session today is based on results, not theory. So I'm going to show you examples of other lawyers already using these strategies and how it's working for them. And it'll be based on what I consider feels professional for those of us who are professionals, which is everyone on this call. So we don't want to be doing cheesy tactics when it comes to marketing, because it's got to fit with our professional standing. So enough about me. Let's talk about what you'll get from today's training. I want to start off by addressing the 3 biggest mistakes that most lawyers make that stop them from getting clients or as many new clients as they want. And of course, we'll talk about how to avoid them. That will bring us on to what is the #1 client magnet secret that will powerfully attract your ideal clients to you and away from your competitors, giving you the freedom to pick and choose the clients you want to work with. Because when you have enough good quality clients coming in, you can say no to anyone who doesn't make the grade for you. And we'll finish up by talking about 3 golden rules for avoiding these big mistakes and attracting more of your ideal clients without wasting time or money on marketing that does not work. And when I talk about marketing in this training, I'm talking about all business development activities you do. So anything you do in terms of leaflets, what you say on your website, what you say when you meet clients, what you say at networking. So it could be a marketing that's spoken, it can be marketing that's written, it can be marketing printed, online, all of that I consider to be marketing. So I'm referring to all of that. Now, Lucy already mentioned that the slides and the recording will be available. There's also a workbook for today, which has been emailed to you by DG Legal. If you don't have it, please type into the chat. We can get you the link to get that, but that'll help you take some notes as we go through. And please do ask questions as we go through. Let's make this interactive. You'll get more from it that way. And speaking of interaction, I'd like to start with a question for you, and I'd love to see your answers into the chat, please. And this question is about what's important to you. And I've got a specific question for you here. And that question is, who's the ideal client that you most want to attract right now? And what's the average value of that client to you in fees? So who's the ideal client? If you could, have a wish list, what kind of client would they be? So for example, it might be that you want to work with a company who has 50 employees who needs help with employment services, and you charge a yearly fee of $5,000 for a retainer. So your answer might be employers with 50 plus employees worth £5,000. Or maybe your ideal client is one that needs help selling their business and your average fee might be £10,000. Or maybe your ideal client is someone who needs help with a will and you charge £500. I'd love to know, who's your ideal client? Who would you most like to attract with what I'm going to show you today? Can you type into the chat and we can have a look at some of the answers, get a bit of a feel for the kind of types of clients and also the value of those clients. I saw someone asking for the workbook. I think we can put a link in to the workbook, although Lucy, maybe you've already, or Alison, maybe you've already provided it. Shall I put the link in? I'm happy to do so.
If you can, Michelle, that would be great. Thank you.
Perfect. I've just popped the link into the chat there. Good. So some people are starting to type in their answers. Please do. So just to give some examples, Tim Davies talks about clients who are in a multi-handed fraud case. Pretty says that clients with medium-sized assets in family law matters. Yeah, this is exactly the sort of thing I'm looking for. Victoria says high net worth clients in any area of immigration with a minimum fee of $3,500. Gary is wealthy litigation client or serious injury cases. Yep. Sophia is OAP couple needing mirror wills and LPAs, £1,000, or a professional with time-strapped staff who needs wills, and I can visit and block book them. Yeah, great. Keep typing in. These are exactly the sorts of things I'm looking for. Karen says financial remedy in divorce, 5 to 15K. Great. So whatever you've just typed in, or even if you haven't typed it in and you've just thought it in your mind, I want you to keep that type of client and that value of that client in mind as we go through today's training, because I'm going to ask you to start thinking about how you would attract that specific type of client. It's going to be much easier if you keep a specific type in mind rather than you try and attract every kind of client you could possibly work with. So hold that thought as we go through. Now, before we get into the detail, let's zoom out for a moment, because attract is one part of a profitable practice. A profitable practice requires you to have different things in place to achieve the results, the freedom results, as I call them. So if we think about freedom, and the 3 freedoms I help lawyers to get are, firstly, the freedom to work with who they want to work with, which is having more ideal clients coming in so you can pick and choose. The second freedom is financial freedom. So creating higher profits in your business will achieve that. And the third freedom is time freedom, freedom to get your time back and use it in different ways. So that freedom we call time back. Now, to achieve those 3 freedoms, which is what I'm on a mission here to help lawyers do, we need 3 things in place. We need to be able to attract our ideal clients. We need to be able to convert them. And once we've converted them and we've gotten those clients, we need to be able to maximize the profitability of each client. This diagram is in your workbook, so you can fill it in if you would like to keep a record of this. But we need to attract and convert to have more ideal clients, but we must also be able to maximize each client in order to get time back and higher profits. Time back, because if we can maximize work from existing clients, we don't need to keep getting new clients. And higher profits, because if we can maximize existing clients, we don't have to spend time and money in marketing to get the new clients in the first place. So today we're talking about obviously an attract issue, but just wanted to flag up for you that it's really important to think about convert and maximize as well. And then specifically around attract, there are different ways to improve your attraction of new clients. And what we're going to talk about today is a specific strategy called magnetize clients. In other words, how do you magnetically draw those clients to you, those ideal clients, so that you can have more instructions from ideal clients specifically. So this is where we're going to be focusing on today, but don't forget all 3 of these elements are essential, because, for example, if I help you attract lots of inquiries, but you're not good at converting them, that's just going to mean a lot of people you talk to who don't become clients. And we don't want that. You want to be good at converting and then making the most of the profits that can come from each client. Okay, so let's just talk about this idea of attracting clients, and what do we mean by attracting, and why is that different from hunting for clients? So I picked the word attracting quite deliberately, not just sort of getting clients however they might arrive. Most lawyers I talk to, when they talk about getting clients, they're using hunting strategies, and hunting strategies generally involve you having to shut the door of your office and go off and look for clients. Now, in today's world, that might be online looking for them, going to LinkedIn or other online events. In some years ago, it would have been physically shutting the door and going out. But either way, you go out looking for the clients and you hope to come back with some. But whenever you go hunting, there's a risk you come back empty-handed. So what we want instead of us spending time going out hunting for clients, we want to be able to set things up in terms of a marketing system in our business that those clients are attracted to us and we don't have to go out looking for them. So we can get on with the work, and then the clients are sort of lining up ready to work with you when you've got space. So I want us to think very much about attracting, not hunting. And I have a question for you. Answers into the chat, please. What's the hardest part for you about attracting new clients? What's your biggest challenge or obstacle? What do you most need help with? What's the hardest part for you about attracting new clients? Can you put your answers into the chat, please? Let's have a look at some of the things that you can flag up. Yeah, so Anne says, standing out from the competition. Cheryl says, lack of support from my firm. Faisal says, being undercut by competitors. Yes. Helena, knowing where to look. Jessica, competition. Imran says, fees, and I'm assuming that's fee as in competition, or clients not wanting to pay what you want to charge. Charlie's also fees. So is Sasha. Okay, quite a few of you highlighting that one as an issue. Andrew says sometimes it's their bad experience with other solicitors in the past. Yeah, okay. So when you think about what's stopping you, generally these challenges fall in 3 categories. We've got getting the inquiries in, as in fighting off the competition, knowing how to market yourself. We've got the time involved in getting the clients, maybe we don't have time, and then we've got fees, finding clients who are actually prepared to pay the fees. Thank you to everyone who shared, and feel free to carry on sharing in the chat. Let's look at the 3 critical parts that need to be in place to have attraction success, in other words, to make this work. And there's 3 parts, and if you don't have all of them, it's going to make it much harder for you than it needs to be. So the first element of good marketing, good attraction, is that we need to target the right market. Marketing and market closely aligned. So we're talking here about, we've actually got to target the target clients. Be clear about who you want to attract, because if you're too general and you try to appeal to everyone, the chances are you'll appeal to no one. And I'll demonstrate that for you in a few moments. So the first thing we need to do is be really targeted in who is our market, who are our target clients. Same thing. Once we've got that chosen, then we need to create the right message that will attract people in that market. So that message has got to be magnetic. It's got to draw people to you. And again, I'm going to give you some examples of what that might look like, but the right market has to hear the right message. And then when we've created the right message, that's all very well, but that message is in our heads or on our desk on a piece of paper. We've got to use the right method to get that message in front of our ideal clients. So whether that's paid ads or social media or webinars or seminars or conference or speaking or articles, these are all methods of communicating a message about ourselves to our ideal clients, which is the market. And it's really important to use the right method for the type of clients you want to attract and the kind of message you want to get to them. So for example, no point doing LinkedIn posts about your services if your ideal client doesn't use LinkedIn. Equally, there's no point in doing Google pay-per-click advertising for people who are searching for your help if your specific clients don't search online. They only rely perhaps on who they hear speak at conferences. They don't Google corporate lawyer London. If they don't do that, there's no point paying for that marketing. Your message will be in the wrong place. So all 3 of these have got to be in place. That's why it's drawn as a triangle. We need all 3 sides of the triangle. So question for you. Which of these 3 do you think you might need to improve right now? Is it your market, the focus on a particular type of client? Is it the message, having a magnetic words to attract those clients? Or is it the method, in other words, how you're getting the message in front of the market? Let's have a few people type in, or as many people as possible, please. Let's get a bit of an informal poll, as it were. Okay, I'm seeing quite a lot of messages. Actually, no, quite a lot of methods coming through. 1 message so far. Let's hear from a few more people. That would really help. Yep, more methods coming through, more methods. Wow, a lot of methods. Yeah, and Victoria says targeting, so that's market. Yeah, for some of you, it's combination. So message and method, or market and method. Okay, it's really important to understand which bit you need to improve, and of course to make sure that all 3 of these are working together, because if any one bit's not working, the whole thing doesn't work, right? It stands or falls by the fact you've got all three working together. So to help you with this, what I want to take you through is the three biggest mistakes that I see lawyers making when it comes to these areas, so that you can see what not to do. Then we'll talk about golden rules of what you should do. So good idea to take some notes of these biggest mistakes as we go through, and the workbook's a good place to do that. I've got a specific spot for you in the workbook. We've just gone over those two diagrams, and here I'm going to give you the three biggest mistakes. You can fill in the blanks, as it were. So first mistake number one is not standing out from your competition. And this is a message issue. If we don't have a strong message, if we don't say something different from everyone else, if we don't attract our ideal clients more than our competitors do, then the problem is we just won't get enough clients, right? We get overwhelmed, we don't stand out. And when we think about what might be stopping you standing out, there are 3 C's that could be getting in the way of you standing out. The first C is clutter. Clutter as in all that stuff, all those messages that your potential clients are getting, whether they're business clients, whether they're individuals, they are surrounded by marketing, emails, adverts on the TV, adverts when they're walking around, and adverts in the newspaper, email, social media ads, social media posts, all of this stuff, there's masses of it. And if you don't stand out, then you just get lost in the sea. That's the first C that might be stopping you from standing out. Second C is competition. A few of you have already mentioned that. So most practices have an army of competitors, and it's often not clear why your clients or potential clients should instruct you rather than the others, which means they're just less likely to choose you. So the second C is competition. And then the third C is caution. What I see a lot of the time is that lawyers don't want to stand out with their marketing in case that's seen as kind of salesy or unprofessional. And as a personality type, as lawyers, we tend to be ultra cautious. That's what makes us great lawyers, because we're always looking for avoiding problems. You know, we take a cautious approach. But if we take a too cautious approach in our own marketing, in our own promotion, then what happens is we blend into the background. We're sort of the same as everyone else, and we offend no one, but we also don't really appeal to anyone in the process. So not standing out is a big mistake. Means you put a lot of effort in and you get very little results back. Question for you: which of these 3 C's is your biggest challenge? Is it the clutter? Is it the competition? Or is it caution? Or perhaps it's a blend. Perhaps it's a combination of 2. Love to know in the chat, please, which ones are your biggest issue. Yeah, Tricia says caution. So so does Murray. So that's a good one to immediately be thinking about. Am I being too cautious? And therefore I'm just following the crowd. A few more people saying caution as well. Some people saying competition. I would expect that to be an issue. Yeah, not challenging the competition, not standing out from the competition. And from some of you, it's clutter as well. All right. Okay. So whichever one it is of those, that's what you need to pay attention. When we talk in a moment about the golden rules, be sure to tune into the ones that relate to whether clutter or competition or caution. Because remember, this is all a message issue, right? It's all a message. Got to get our message in front of the right people. All right, that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is only marketing to those who are looking to buy now. When I say buy, I mean instruct you. So it's a mistake to only market to those who are looking to instruct you or buy your services right now. This is a market issue. This is targeting not necessarily the wrong people, but too smaller segment of your market. And whilst I said right at the beginning of today's session that it's important to take one type of ideal client that you want and focus on them and create some marketing to attract them, it's also important that we don't ignore people who need that kind of service that you want to promote, whether that was wills or employment services or fraud help or whatever it might be. It's important that you don't limit yourself only to the people who are looking right now today for help. because there's a lot more people you could help who aren't actually looking today, and we are in danger of ignoring them in our marketing. Let me explain a little bit more about what I mean. So here's a pie chart that represents what might be your target market. Now, everyone's target market is going to be a bit different. I'm going to take an average target market for a lawyer. And let's say, just to keep the example simple, let's choose the example of wills. I mean, we help people sell very complex corporate services, international construction disputes, you know, £100 million instructions, that sort of thing. But, well, £100 million deals on which they're instructed, I mean. But let's take a simple example of wills. And let's think about the target market for wills. If you have in your area where you are practicing, if you could find 100 people who need a will, which, let's face it, is many, many people, unless they've done one recently, they will need a will. But out of that 100, probably only 3 of them, i.e. 3%, will be actively looking for help today. So they need a will, and then they're actively looking on Google or for recommendations from friends, or in the old days, it would have been looking up in yellow pages, but they might be looking at online directories and so on. 3%. Now, here's the challenge. That's only 3 out of 100. And all your competitors are also targeting this 3%, because what they're doing, and you might be doing it too, is saying, hey, if you need a will, we can help you. Or just saying, here we are, we do wills. Now, that's just telling people if they know they want a will, they should come to you. And that might be what you say on a website, when you speak to people at an event, all these kinds of different ways you might be marketing yourself. You're just saying, if you know you want a will, I'm here. This might only be 3% of your potential client base. 7% of your potential clients, so 7 in 100, might be open to getting a will done soon, but they're not looking today. Now, if they met you at networking or met you at an event, or that you were introduced through a referral, they might say, well, I wasn't going to do it just now, but since I've met you and I like you, I will. So you might get a chance with your here I am style marketing to attract those people. But equally, they might put it off till later. Even if your marketing focuses on both of those, that's only 10% of your ideal clients that you could help. What happens after that is the 30%, so 30 in 100 people might be aware they'll need you at some point. So again, if you do wills, they might be thinking, I'll need a will when I'm older, when I get married, when I get divorced, when I have kids, on some future event. So they're aware, but they're not looking. And none of your marketing of we do wills, we're the best, we've been doing it the longest, we got the best pricing, or we're not the best, we're not the cheapest because we're really good. Whatever you say is going to go over their heads if you use the kind of marketing most people use. Then we've got 30% who are unaware they even need help. So no matter how much you tell me you do wills, I'm a person who, despite the fact that I recently got married, does not realize that my marriage probably revoked my will. And I think the will I did 10 years ago is fine. So no matter how much you say you do wills, I won't take any notice because I think I've got one. That's a person who's unaware they need help. So your marketing won't appeal to them either. And then we've got 30% of potential clients who are probably a no. You're not in the right location for them. Your fees aren't right for them, or maybe they just don't like you, because we do work with people we know, like, and trust. So what I'm suggesting is that when it comes to marketing, we need to think about expanding this 10% to instead cover everyone but the no. In other words, let's focus on 70% of our ideal clients instead of 3 or 10 or something smaller. Before we talk about how to do that, I'm just interested, based on what I've talked about, on your thoughts about this. What percentage of your ideal clients do you feel you are currently marketing to with the current marketing that you do? Is it 3%, 10%? Do you feel you're marketing to the full 70% of people that you could help? What percentage do you think you're marketing to right now? Yeah, Murray says, I'm a distressed purchase. Now, if you're a distressed purchase, it might be that more people realize they need you, but the question becomes, do they realize how early they need you? And do they come to you too late through the sort of marketing you do? Do they realize too late? That's a separate question to think about as well. Okay, so I'm looking at some numbers. I'm seeing 10%, 3%, 3%, 3%. Yeah, Sophia says it must be the 3%. Hopefully they remember my name, but unlikely. Murray on the distress purchase says they often come too late. So your marketing could be targeting people to come to you earlier. We'll talk about that a little bit too. Faisal says it's between 3 and 7%. Yeah, okay. So for most people, what you're saying is that you feel you are marketing to a small percentage. So that means you're making this mistake of only marketing to those looking to buy now. So we need to shift that. I'm going to show you how to do that when we get to the golden rules. Okay, that was mistake number 2. What about mistake number 3? Well, mistake number 3 is not using your marketing to start a relationship with a potential client. Now, what I mean by this is that sometimes a potential client isn't ready to instruct us, and they're not even ready to come in for a consultation and start the process formally. They're just kind of looking for information, deciding if they might be interested in working with us, trying to get a bit of a feel, maybe researching, could they do some of it on their own, looking for information. Now, at that point, which is the marketing phase of a relationship, if we just do marketing where we just put marketing out there and we say, this is what we do, and if you want it, ring us, or if you want our help, instruct us, then we're not trying to start a relationship before we're effectively proposing marriage, right? Call us to get our help is marry us now. Think of it that way in a relationship. We're not forming a relationship in advance. And the reason we're not doing that is because in our marketing, they just see it once and then they go along their way. They think, maybe I'll remember that later. Maybe that's interesting later, and off they go. Now, the big brands, and I don't necessarily mean in law, but including in law, but let's think about big consumer brands, Coca-Cola, Nike, like Apple. The way they start a relationship with you before you're ready to buy, it's constant marketing, massive budgets. It's on the TV, it's on the side of buses, it's on the radio, it's everywhere you go. And they start a relationship with you by constantly marketing to you till you feel you get to kind of know the brand, want the brand. Now, as law firms, especially if we're a smaller law firm, we don't have the money, that kind of money to spend on advertising. And we don't want to spend that kind of money on advertising. So what we need to do instead is not assume that if someone sees our piece of our marketing once, they'll just remember us and come back. But instead, we need to be able to continue marketing to them. But how do we do that without spending thousands or hundreds of thousands on marketing? Well, the way we do it is to make sure that we have a way in our marketing to start that relationship earlier. And the relationship starts with getting someone's contact details, or if it's on social media, maybe getting them into a group so that we can continue to send them content, marketing, without having to pay to run ads. So if we have someone's email address, we can send them an email. If they're in our Facebook group, we could send them more content that way. Personally, I'm in favor of email addresses because Facebook groups can come and go. You can lose your Facebook account and so on. Email is something you're always able to send. So what the mistake is to not look for ways to get people's email address as part of your marketing and to wait for them to make a formal inquiry. Just to give you an example, if you run a webinar as a piece of marketing, you will get people's contact details because they'll register, give you an email, and you'll be able to follow up with them. Equally, if you provided downloadable content on your website, like a guide or a report, then they could download that, give you their email address in order for you to send it to them. That's what I mean by download, put in their email, get it by email back from you, and give you their email address. But most lawyers I talk to are not doing this, or they're only doing it in a fraction of their marketing, and the rest of it, they're just hoping people remember them, and they're not really finding ways to start this relationship. Actually, let's just check in with a question here. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being I'm always getting marketing information, contact details, so that I can continue marketing to people who are interested in me, and 1 being I'm never doing it. I never ask for an email address. I don't have any kind of marketing that gets an email address. Where are you on the scale of 1 to 5? 5 being I'm always getting email addresses, one being I'm never getting email addresses. Yeah, so a range of numbers coming through. A couple of people are saying 5, so they do use this opportunity. Lots of you are at 1, and some of you are in the middle, 2s, 3s. Yeah, so there's a range. So if you're not using marketing to start a relationship, then this is a mistake. By the way, if you're thinking, well, I have a place on my website where people can fill in an inquiry form or subscribe to my newsletter, and I can stay in touch with them, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a 5, because just because you have a way for people to do it, the question is, are they doing it? Do you get lots of new subscribers to a newsletter on your website every week? If you've got it there, but it's not working, nobody's subscribing, then you're not yet a 5. You're asking for it, but you're not getting it. So that's the mistake that you want to avoid, is not using marketing to start a relationship and only expecting it to bring someone directly to a consultation. Okay, so let's just check in and recap for a moment. We talked about 3 biggest mistakes that could be stopping you from getting the clients you want. Number 1, not standing out, which was a message mistake. Number 2, only marketing to those ready to buy now. That was a market mistake. And then number 3, not using marketing to start a relationship, which is a method mistake. It's the kind of marketing you're doing. So which of these 3 mistakes are you making, and what do you think is the impact it's having on you getting those ideal clients at those fees that you talked about right at the beginning? Love to hear some comments from you into the chat. Which mistakes are you making, and what do you think is the impact on you getting those ideal clients? How's it affecting you? How's it affecting your practice? I'll take a drink of my water while you do some typing. And I'll give you a few moments because I know this is a bit of a longer type. Yeah, Victoria says the majority of the marketing is to those ready now to instruct. Yes, George says not standing out would be the main one. Great, I'd love to know how you think that that's impacting things for you. Imran says a mixture of mistake 2 and 3. Yep. Elena, all of them, but mainly just telling them what we do. In other words, that's that here I am marketing rather than helping them understand why they might need you if they don't already understand it. Yep, Charles is number 3. Kapana, sending the right message because of the 3 C's. Yes, a mixture. I'd love to hear, how is it impacting you? What difference do you think it's making on your ability to get these clients? Sophia, thanks for your comment. You said it's so important and a genius idea. Oh, I noticed you sent that just to hosts and panelists, that comment, but I hope it's okay to read it. This is so important and a genius idea. I have lots of people look at my website and LinkedIn, but don't leave email addresses because they don't need me immediately and want to shop around. I'm going to change this. I need to do so much, but brilliant advice. Thank you so much. All right, great. So glad that you're getting the opportunity that's here. So whichever one of these mistakes you're making, it's time to start thinking about making a choice. Because my job in this training and every training I do is to help you make some good decisions about your future actions. So you can continue what you've been doing, keep making the mistakes that you've been making, or now that perhaps it's been highlighted that those might not serve you, those mistakes, you can make a commitment now to changing the way you market your practice so you don't make these mistakes. I think that's what Sophia's already just done with her comment that she's just typed in. So if you'd like to make that decision right now, whether you're prepared to commit to a new way of doing things, if you're ready to make that commitment, could you let's type in the word commit, right, or committed, so we can see, you can just make a statement to yourself and to everyone else that you're committed to changing things and stopping making these mistakes. Because before, probably you were just too busy to notice that you were making them, or you didn't realize they were a mistake, or you weren't sure what else you could do instead. Yeah, great. Loads of commits and committed coming through. Love that. Okay, great. Loving your energy on this. Okay, so in a moment, I'm going to show you how you can avoid all these mistakes by following 3 golden rules in your marketing. But first, let's imagine what it would be like for you if you already had this sorted, if you had marketing that avoided these mistakes and brought you more inquiries every day. So you'd go into work in the morning and you'd find your inbox had messages from prospective clients wanting to meet with you. And during the day, the phone would be ringing with prospective clients wanting to talk to you about how you could help them. You'd have them approaching you, so you don't have to feel like you're chasing them. And you'd be able to pick and choose the clients you took on because you'd have enough that you could say no to any who weren't the ideal types. You'd be relaxed, confident, enjoying the job without worrying about where the next clients are coming from. So imagine if you could create this. What would that feel like for you? What difference would it make? Well, if you want to achieve this, then it's time for a different kind of marketing, because there are basically 2 kinds of marketing in the world. And they're represented by these 2 images here on the screen. So on the left-hand side, we've got sales-based marketing. And that delivers a sales message, which says, here I am, this is what I do. If you want it, contact me. And the problem with this is it positions you as a seller. And generally, nobody wants to be sold to. We like to buy, but we don't really like to be sold to. And the problem with a sales message is it doesn't appeal to probably 95% of your ideal clients who are not actively in buying mode right now. We've already seen that. So that's one kind of marketing. The other kind of marketing on the right-hand side here, represented by the books and the mortarboard, is education-based marketing. This is where instead of saying, if you want X service, here I am, we say we educate our prospects about the problems they might encounter if they don't get the right help from us, or how we can help provide a solution to a problem they've got that maybe they don't even know we can help with. So rather than here I am marketing, it's here's what you need to know about X topic. It could be an article, a guide, a report, but to be education-based marketing, it must have a marketing function, which means it educates about why they need your help and why they should choose you. So it's not just information. So if you write an article about a case and you just dissect a case and you say what the result was, that isn't telling people why they need your help. That's information. That is not education-based marketing. So education-based marketing, as I mentioned, could be articles, reports, could be seminars, could be videos, all of that. But really, the key here is we want to be using an education-based marketing approach so that we can target not just the 3% who know they need us, but the 67 other percent who are thinking they need us later, not at all, or don't think it's that important that they need to spend money on it. By the way, there is a third type of marketing that's called wait and see marketing, and that's being completely passive and waiting to see who comes along. There's very little chance that that will bring you as many clients as you want, so I don't recommend that approach. Okay, so real benefit of education-based marketing is that where most professionals are only marketing to 3% of their target market, you could be reaching up to 70% if you used education-based marketing. And done correctly, education-based marketing is also going to give value, like provide helpful information, build trust, and start a relationship which will attract those clients to you. It's going to help you stand out from the crowd who are doing here I am marketing. It's going to educate more potential clients about why they need your service and the value of your help. And position you as an expert, not a seller, the expert they should choose to get help from. And this marketing can work hard for you whilst you're working on other client matters. In other words, you're helping other clients or taking a well-deserved rest. And just to give you some examples of education-based marketing, here are a couple of reports that I have created that are available on my website. One is 5 essential steps to get more clients from your initial consultations. The other, 9 essential strategies for growing your legal practice profitably. My book that I mentioned at the beginning, the Client Magnet Guide, how to attract and convert more clients, is also education-based marketing. All of these contain content which will teach you why you need to do your marketing or your conversion or some other aspect of your practice growth in a certain way, and therefore potentially create you a desire, a hunger for the kind of service and help I can provide. But equally, it's valuable standalone content in its own right. So when you get it, you'll feel it was valuable and useful, but it also serves to educate about why clients, lawyers might want to get my help. It shows my expertise, but it shows it in a way that shows how I'm going to help them. So something for you to consider is, what difference would it make if you used effective education-based marketing? How would it impact? How would it help you get more clients? And this is what's going to motivate you to think about using the right kind of education-based marketing. So for all of you who said you were committed to making a change, commit to using education-based marketing. This is what will make the big difference for you. Murray, I'll answer your question in a little bit about how you educate without giving away the crown jewels. Very important question. The key here is to make this commitment about whether you're going to use education-based marketing or carry on with the old way of marketing. So I'd love to know, are you leaning towards carrying on with the old way or thinking about the new way? I'd love to see you type in new way if you're thinking that you'll do it in the new way that we've already started to talk about in this education-based marketing way. Great, lots of news and new ways coming into the chat. Love that. Love that. Capital letters sometimes. Great. Okay. So Faisal says, can you have mix of the two ways? You can. That is possible, and not to say you can't do both, but you need to definitely add the new way on top. Great question. Okay, so if you're going to use education-based marketing, it's really important to get it right, because if you spend a lot of time creating a guide or information and then it doesn't work, it doesn't bring you clients, you've just spent time, effort, potentially money, or time is money in a law firm, and not got the results you want. And you could find that you put all that effort in and you just don't get anything back. And that's going to lead to you being fed up and feeling like you've wasted your time. So let me give you these 3 golden rules, and I highly recommend you write these down in the workbook as to what you need to do. Golden rules you will find on this page here in the workbook. So 3 golden rules. The first golden rule is about your market, and it's educate the right people about the right things. So for example, if you wanted to help people with providing a cohabitation agreement, if you're a family lawyer, you need people to understand why they need a cohab agreement before they'll want one. So you'll need to educate them about the dangers of not having a cohabitation agreement, or how they can better protect their wealth and their future if they have one. So you've got to teach them why. Educate the right people about right things. So make sure you've chosen the right market, your ideal clients, and you told me who those were right at the beginning of the call. And then the right message is an education-based message for them to see why they need help. Does that make sense? Hopefully, no, we've already talked about this, but I'm bringing it into these sort of key golden rules for you now. The right people about the right things. Let me give you an example of someone who's done this. So Stephen, one of the lawyers in our profitable practice program, he works in the Isle of Man, and he's a consultant lawyer working for Keystone, which is a large organization. And he wanted to attract more companies who want to set up or might want to set up in the Isle of Man. And he wanted to use education-based marketing to show them why setting up in the Isle of Man might be the best option for them rather than setting up in another offshore jurisdiction. So he created a guide, and that guide was specifically about why you might want to set up in the Isle of Man. In other words, why Isle of Man would give you specific benefits. So he wrote a guide, he published the guide, he promoted the guide, and within 2 weeks of publishing it, he had generated 300 inquiries, 300 downloads of the guide. So people who were interested in potentially setting up in the Isle of Man, and £50,000 in new instructions in just 2 weeks. And not only did he have 50,000 in new instructions, but he had a pipeline of people to follow up with, all of whom were interested in learning about why Isle of Man might be good for them. You can see his testimonial here, just confirming those results. So created instant attraction and a pipeline of work. So that was by combining the right market with the right message, in his case, in the form of a written guide. So that's golden rule number 1, the right market, the right message. golden rule number 2 is to give the right amount of value in your message. And this is picking up, Faisal, on your question just now. How do you give the right amount of value so you don't give away the crown jewels? Oh, actually, Faisal, sorry, that wasn't you that asked that question. It was someone a little bit earlier than your comment. Murray, it was Murray who asked that. So the right amount of value. So here's the key thing. We need to give away the right amount of value. So we need people to feel the guide was valuable and worth giving us ideally their email address for, but not give us so much that we think we don't need any more help. And I see this a lot. So I see law firms producing information that's, 5 steps to getting divorced, or 6 things to do when you're setting up your company in the UK, and so on. And it sort of gives a step by step. And what happens is the person reading the guide thinks, well, I've got everything I need. I've read the guide. I can follow that guide. So thanks, lawyer, but I don't need to call you. I can just use your guide and go and get the help. Have any of you ever felt that this is a problem? That when you try to write content or information, that you feel like then clients don't come to you because you've given them too much? Yeah, Murray says yes to that one. Chanel, yes, you'll get the slides. Yes. Christo says definitely, or Christo, sorry, says definitely. Yeah, so here's what we need to think about. We need to give enough to attract clients, but not too much that they think they can do it themselves, which will actually repel them, have the opposite effect of a magnet, and repel them away from you. So good education-based marketing has to have the right content, the right balance. And you can definitely give too much. And this was the case with one of my clients, Andrew, who's a commercial lawyer. He had a vast amount of articles in his website, on his website, and he knew people were reading it because they could track the numbers, he could see the pages are being looked at. But when he came to me, he said, not enough people are calling me compared to the number of people that are reading all my articles. And when he came to me and we looked at what he was doing to create his accelerator plan for growth, I could immediately see the problem. The articles were very how-to, and that how-to was letting potential clients think that they had enough information, they didn't need his help. So when I worked with him and showed him how to be more strategic in what kinds of content he provided, it made a big difference. We made it less about giving the how-to and more about identifying the pitfalls or dangers they faced and letting them know that his expert advice would help avoid that. So less how-to, more pitfalls, dangers, and how he could help. So he went back and he changed the existing articles rather than writing new ones. And the results were great. Pretty much with a minimal amount of effort, he was able to see a 30% increase in inquiries by being clearer in those articles about why clients needed his help without having to sell his services. And as you see from his quote here, he says, in the first 6 months of the year, inquiries increased by 30%, but also the percentage becoming clients increased by 36%. So what that tells us is the clients who called him already were educated about why they needed his help. They were already prepared to get his help and take that next step. So getting the balances right is important, but move away from how to and think more about why you need this help, why you need to avoid problems and how to avoid them. But not all the how to of the detail. So golden rule number 3, and links back to what I said earlier, we need to start an ongoing relationship with your marketing. And I recommend you do this by using a client magnet. Now, a client magnet is any kind of downloadable content where people put in their details to receive the document. And I showed you some of mine earlier. My book is another example. What we want to do is not just give the information away on your website because someone can come, read it and leave. And now you have to spend more time and effort on marketing to find that person again and bring them back to your site, or more likely never be able to contact them again. Instead, if we bring them to the site, offer them something very valuable, they give us their email, then we can follow up by email with them, stay in touch until they are ready. And I call this kind of guide the client magnet, is what the book is about. Now, Stephen, I talked about earlier, he used a client magnet, a downloadable guide, and so did Jonty. Jonty's running a firm in North Wales, sort of high street style firm. And he saw a 1,500% increase in inquiries when he offered the right kind of client magnet to the right kind of clients. And actually, this was during the first lockdown when the courts were generally closed. A lot of business was not happening. But one of the things he identified was that tenants needed help resisting their landlords trying to throw them out for non-payment of rent, even though they'd had to close their business. And he wrote a guide on what tenants could do to resist their landlords. And in it, he educated about how he could help avoid that problem, avoid that eviction by the landlord, a 1,500% increase in inquiries from doing that by using the right kind of education-based marketing wrapped into a guide that people downloaded and gave him a pipeline of people to follow up. So I've given you the 3 golden rules. You now have a choice. You can keep doing it the way you've been doing, or you can do it the new way. And if you're going to do it the new way, that's an education-based marketing approach using a client magnet. I highly recommend that as an approach. Now, before we finish up today, I want to tell you about a couple of extra resources I can offer to help you if you would like to do a client magnet. By the way, type in magnet if you've decided you do want to start creating a client magnet, because these resources are going to be particularly useful for you if it's something that you would like to do. So if you'd like to do a magnet, 2 things you could do. First thing is have a look at my book, The Client Magnet Formula. It's available to buy on Amazon, but you don't need to spend money at this stage. You can download free chapters at this link on the slide here, which is thebusinessinstructor.com/book-chapters. I'll put the link into the chat so you can click it, makes it a little bit easier, or copy and paste. So that book, first 4 chapters, is specifically about things you need to be doing to get your marketing to work in a client magnet style. So that's the first thing I want to offer. The second thing I'd like to offer is if you'd like a bit more hands-on help rather than just reading a book and reading the theory, then you could come to one of my workshops where I'll actually help you start creating the topic and the title of your client magnet guide, because getting the right topic and title is key. If it's not interesting to your ideal clients, it doesn't matter what you write, they're not going to download it, they're not going to read it, they won't get educated, and they won't become your clients. So if you'd like to, we could work together on creating your client magnet title and hook, what it's about, at my 1-day Profitable Practice Secrets workshop. And that workshop is an opportunity to work with me to create this topic for your client magnet guide, to magnetize your ideal clients, but also to do more than that. Also to learn new conversion skills to neutralize any price resistance in potential inquiries that you're getting, so that you can turn more inquiries into paying clients at higher fees. And then an opportunity to discover how to mine the client gold so that you can ethically maximize profits from each client whilst reducing your working hours. So you could do the attract, the convert, and the maximize, work on all of those with me, and create a practice growth accelerator plan for your firm so that you know exactly what you need to do to get all of those results we talked about earlier: more clients, more profits, more time off. Now, if you'd like to do that and work, as I say, on all of these elements, magnetizing clients, neutralizing price resistance, and mining the client gold, then I want to do something a little bit extra for you as a DG Legal webinar attendee. And that is that if you'd like to come to either of our next workshops on the 3rd of August or the 14th of September, the usual ticket price would be £247 plus VAT for the full day online training with us. It's completely online, so you don't need to travel. But we have super early bird tickets available at just £147 plus VAT, and they're available for the next few days until the super early bird deadline expires. But I'm offering a 50% discount for all DG Legal webinar attendees when you use code DG50, DG50, because that's going to enable you to get even the super early bird ticket at half price. So the 50% discount is available on those super early bird tickets if you would like to use it. And you can register on our website, thebusinessinstructor.com/virtual-workshop. Now, if you've got any questions for me about the event or about anything I've talked about today, please type them in I've got a few more minutes to answer any questions. If you are booking the workshop, just a quick thing, when you go onto our page, you will go through to Eventbrite. Some people ask us sometimes, where do I put the promo code for the discount? And it's right up here at the top of the page once you've selected tickets. So you put it in there and then you select your tickets. So just show you that because some people get a bit foxed by where to put it. So really happy to answer any questions. Type in any questions that you've got for me and I'll happily answer them. Samantha says, will it be webinar mode to go to the one-day workshop? One-day workshop will be on Zoom. We'll all be on camera. We'll all be able to talk and chat and work together as if we are, in the same room together. So not a webinar mode, but a Zoom meeting style. Thanks for your question. Let's see if there's any other questions that you would like help with, because I'll be happy to help. Lucy, if you noticed any questions that you think I missed, feel free to flag those up for me as well. I know we're just coming up to 2 o'clock, so I don't want to keep people beyond the agreed time, but I'm completely happy to answer questions if there are any. If you do want to get in touch, here's just a reminder of the links I've talked about earlier, and also my email and phone number if you would like either of those. Yeah, Christopher says, can I help individual lawyers? Yes, I do work with individual lawyers. Some of them are consultants within larger firms, and others are individual lawyers who are employed in a firm but would like help to develop their own practice. So yes, we do work with individual lawyers as well. Thanks for your question. And the workshop would be suitable for you too. Great, seeing lots of thank yous. Great. I'm just scrolling to see if there's any other questions. Anything that I missed. Lucy, if you've seen any questions, do let me know.
I can't seem to find any. I've just been scrolling back up. I think everything's been covered.
Yeah, I think I answered them as I went along in the main. If I did miss a question, I'm very happy for people to send it via email.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michelle. If you're happy, I'll wrap up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just scrolling to the end of the questions just to make sure I haven't missed anything as they've just leapt up. They've been thank yous rather than questions. Perfect. Delighted to have helped. And thanks again for having me for today's session.
Thank you very much. That was really, really interesting, Michelle. Really enjoyed. Just as a reminder to everybody, these slides and a recording of the webinar will be available. So you can watch this again at another time if you would like to. So just to finish off, I'll let you all know about the next webinar that we are hosting. And that will be on the 15th of July. We will be presenting a webinar on res gestae and hearsay in the Magistrates Court with Mark Savage from 33 Bedford Road North. So if anyone's interested in that, please go to our website and register. This afternoon, you should receive an email asking to rate us out of 5 stars. So if you have enjoyed today's webinar, please do leave some feedback. We'd much appreciate that. And any suggestions for future topics are also very welcome. So thank you very much again, Michelle, and have a lovely afternoon, everybody.
Thank you. Bye for now.